Been a while since I sat down, hasn't it? Hey, what's up everyone, it's SEONN the producer here. Welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. I focus on making music on the go using iOS and Android devices. It's the best way I'm able to come up with ideas on the go and then transcribe it into a full song. And I like to share my process as to how I use a few of my favorite applications. But that's not what this video is all about. This video is talking about two applications which I'm a fan of, but I don't think has been really compared or discussed as I would like. So here it goes. The two applications I'm going to be looking into is Reason Compact and Ampify Groovebox. Both have things in common. They're both Grooveboxes in the sense of you can make music in that particular application. You're able to make bass sounds, you can make lead sounds, you can make drum kits directly in those applications. They both support iOS and iPad OS. They have similar design in common in the sense that they work based off of a rack style mount where everything you have is in columns or in rows. This allows you to be able to just focus on one idea at a time and then move on to the next one and keep adding on until you can finish it. They both synchronize really well with other DAWs. In the case of Reason, it works with Reason Compact. And in the case of Ableton, it works with Groovebox. You're able to export components. You can export the stems, you can export the project files, you can send it directly into each of these individual DAWs and continue the idea directly from there. So yeah, there's quite a lot of good things in it. If you have any of the iOS and the iPad devices, I recommend downloading them, especially if you use these DAWs, because it's a great way to get ideas up and running. Let's start with Groovebox. Groovebox is layered in such a way where, as of the filming of this video, there's 5 sounds there. There's a drum box, which is used in making drum kits. There's Horizon, which is good in making ambient style of sounds. It's great for making pads as well. You've got Minimoon, which is, actually, how do I describe Minimoon? Is this supposed to be like some sort of like a Minimoog style of sound, but not really a Minimoog style? Maybe. I just think Minimoog as good for good atmospheric sound effects. I've got Retro Bass, which is good for making bass sounds, and I've got Poly 8, which I use for lead sounds and I use for chord sounds. If I was to pick my favorite out of the bunch, definitely Poly 8's my main one, followed by Retro Bass and then Drum Box. I like Minimoog for adding extra effects and I like Horizon for making good heavy pad sound, but that's just my personal taste. Again, you can take it in any direction you want to take. There really isn't any rule to music, but this is the way I use it. Usually it auto loads them, but what I did in this case was when I went into the settings of the application, I actually turned off auto load patterns so that it doesn't load up a random pattern. But I'll turn it back on because it gives, every time you add the module, it just keeps giving you great random sequences and you can have a blast. I turned it off because I wanted to come up with my own creative ideas on the go, but you can leave it on and it's awesome. Let's continue on this video. We're trying to make a good comparison between both applications here. Ready-made comes with drum kits. 8 of them in number as opposed to the 16 that was available in the Groovbox application. But the 8 is actually awesome. I don't have 16 fingers. I work with the sounds I can use. And I find 8's a good number, especially when you're using it on a mobile device. Directly on Rhythmic, you've got access to the main effect head. You've got some free effects available, which is like the distortion, delay, reverb, fade out, pitch, filter. These are just ways to be able to change the sound in some way or another. I'd say experiment with it. My favorite effects here are reverb, to give it some space, delay. Distortion gives you some sick, it makes it nasty. Filter is always the more common one whenever you want to get those, kind of like a volume control. You want to hear more of the high end or more of the low end. Now let's go to Europa, which is one of my favorite sounds here. It starts out as a simple synth and it presents the effects there. With the free version as well, you can add chords, which can change that into, you can actually change the method of play. You can add inversions. Where this thing works is you can actually, there's also another section on the free version. When you swipe, you get access to the arpeggiator. I'll for now turn off the chords and just turn on the arpeggiator. Now, when you have the full unlock of Europa, you're actually able to adjust the waveforms. This is when you want to get tricky into sound design. And this is one of those reasons why this application is amazing. Because the engines, the unisons, the mix, the filter, the amplifier, you drawing out the envelope, giving you choices of LFOs, effects. I'll probably go into all this stuff in a later date, but I don't want to like sidetrack this video because it's getting a bit longer. But with the high amount of effects and customization you can do in this application, it's like whoosh. The next portion I'm going to go into is the Monotone. The Monotone is the application where I use to make great bass or great pluck sound. There's a lot of things to be said about Monotone. It's simple, but it does it well. It's a monotonic bass sound, which means you only use it to just make leads, single sounds. Think Agonizer by Jakobak, where you use it to make great simple leads, but it allows you to be able to do a lot of great runs. And it gets nasty if you hold it, so don't forget to hold it. And there's also a set of basic effects to use, and you can customize it by getting the unlock. This allows you to adjust different oscillators, different filter settings, amplifier set, and you can change it to some extent. If you want to go in depth, great, the unlocks are there. If not, perfect, you can work with it. There's quite a few packs here. I've unlocked quite a few because I really love this app. Oh yeah, another similarity between both applications, they support Ableton Link, which allows both applications to synchronize with each other. So it causes the tempo to match. When you press play and pause, it works together. If you put it in an AUV tree or an inter-app audio host like AUDIOBUS tree or AUM, they work well together. So it's worth taking a look as well. These are the places which I'm not so much of a fan of on both applications. Let's start with Ampify Groovebox. For Ampify Groovebox, I wish there was a way I could send a project directly from Groovebox into Bloxwave or Launchpad or both. Because it's great to come up with an idea, but I'd like to be able to share it directly. Now, I did make an iOS shortcut that can do that. Feel free to check in the description. I kind of wish it was sort of incorporated in the application where I can just send it directly yet into the other apps. Also right now, if you leave the metronome on and if you export the project, it's going to be recording with the metronome. That's a little bit annoying, so I always have to go back and then turn off the metronome and send it back. Hopefully it will be fixed in a bug or like in an update, but yeah. What do I wish could be better on Groovebox? Well, yeah, I wish I could actually bring in MIDI into the application and like control each of the 8 portions using separate MIDI control. Now I know with my Novation launch key that I have, I'm able to easily change it, but it would be nice to like get a MIDI file and import it there, or at least be able to share the project that I work on my iPhone with my iPad. That's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of like, come on. But I think these are just small misgivings right now. Hopefully they end up working on this. But next one I want to look into now is Reason Compact. What do I feel could be improved? Well, one of them was, previously it was possible for me to control each of those 3 synths at once using an app like AUDIOBUS tree, where each one of those components, Rhythmic, Europa, and Monotone, could be assigned to different MIDI channels. With the iOS 14 update and the app update that happened, it's no longer possible. And because my iPad was updated to the latest version, I can't do it there. I can still do it on my iPhone, and I'll show a recording of what I mean, just to demonstrate it. But it was possible for me to control each one of those ones directly from the application, and it was super cool. Something I like to see. Also, if it's possible to export each of the individual stems of Rhythmic, Europa, and Monotone. Now, I know I can use something like Let's or Mix to just extract the stems and like split it into 3. It's a cool tool, but it would be nice if it was directly on the application as opposed to having to use a workaround. Also, it would also be nice to be able to stack more racks of Europa or more racks of Rhythmic or more racks of, yeah. In other words, just be able to make duplicates of it. It doesn't have to be too much. It could be just a maximum of 8. Because I feel that's quite a decent amount of number for it. It doesn't have to be like an infinite loop like in Gadget 2 or whatnot. You know what, the more I'm recommending, the more I'm seeing one app is trying to copy another. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, there isn't too much differences if you look at an iPhone and an Android phone directly. But the way they work, the magic in it, the thought process behind the designer, the way they interact, it's quite different. So I think that's something that if it's possible, not to look at them as, oh, we're directly competing with it. It's more like, yo, this is a really cool idea. Let's take it to our direction and head off in that path. Versus, oh, this is just a ripoff of this one. Because when we see this, okay, which one is better and which one isn't so better, we lose the point of the purpose, which is like creative individuals find a problem and they get inspired to make something completely different. Doesn't matter who comes up with the idea. The main way is the execution. What ideas do you like in your project? What ideas would you like to use? How would you take it to the next level? So I think that's really important. So if you're watching this Reason, and if you're watching this Amplify, please find a way to work together. That'd be amazing. Or find a way to develop your separate applications. Because there's a lot of magic in just making music off of one tiny device like this. Yeah, it's pretty late. I should probably head on back. I don't know when next I'm going to be on the camera. I do. Well, hope you have a great one. Take it easy. Whoosh.